What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is a weird episode of the Paul James Show tonight because, honestly, we should be playing football right now. We should be gearing up for post-game live, but instead, we've got an extra week off through some fairly difficult circumstances. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's transpired up in northern Queensland and how that affects the Cats. We're going to talk about a whole range of other topics that have popped off over the course of the last few days, and then, of course, we're going to have an extended Q&A tonight. In the absence of kind of following the normal show format, because this week has been kind of thrown into a bit of chaos, we're going to take your questions and talk all about whatever you want to discuss. So let's kind of get into the swing of things by first tonight going through some of the basics, some of the need to know, some of what you can do to engage with the show. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends. Get the Hoops Crew out there in front of as many people as possible. We are trying to build this platform. We are trying to grow, get more people engaged, find more Geelong fans out there that want to talk all about the Cats and add them to our community. It'll be great to talk with all of you. Share the word as much as you possibly can, please. While the show is on, comment, share, and, of course, afterwards as well with your thoughts after the fact. But please, if you're watching this live, jump in the comments, as I'm seeing Aviation Fix is already doing. Share your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, etc. Want to hear all about it, especially tonight where we're going to lean on the Q&A quite heavily. You can also utilize the Super Chat function, which for the cost of $2 allows you to get your comment brought to the top of the pile, and an extra special shout out goes your way. We'd love to see people working the Super Chat function. It's huge, and we'd really love to chat with you. Next up, make sure to follow us on the socials. You can find me at Paul James Games on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Blue Sky. I use the same handle on all of those platforms, and of course, you can check out the Hoops Crew there as well. There's a mosquito buzzing around. I'm not loving that. Let's start the show. RIP. Shout out, as always, to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist, and of course, check out the Patreon, where for the cost of $5 a month, you can get early access to content, there's extended content, and there's exclusive YouTube content all there for you to check out. So please consider checking out what we do. Now, let's get into the show a little bit by firstly talking about, of course, the big news that affects the Cats. Let's get into it a little bit here. Some new fixture details have come out. Now, of course, like I said, the game should be getting played as we speak tonight, but that is not occurring due to the cyclone that is hours away from hitting Queensland, roughly in the area that the game would be played. And of course, the most important thing out there before we go any further is, of course, I believe it's like 1.8 million homes or people that are in the firing line of the cyclone at the moment. That's due to arrive sometime overnight tonight. And on behalf of, I think, everyone in the chat, for all of us at the Hoops Crew, we extend our best wishes to everyone up there, and hopefully everyone is okay, that the damage is as minimal as possible, and that no one is hurt in the process. So please look after yourselves. In terms of the football, though, of course, it took a few days into this week. We kind of knew that this was coming. I think deep down knew that a delay to the game was inevitable at this particular point. It was on Tuesday, about midday Tuesday, where we finally started to come to learn the official news that the game was going to be cancelled. And I'm going to quickly, I can see a few people extending their best wishes in the chat here. I'm going to, where to go? Going to pin any little comments that I see here that are of those who are extending their best wishes to those in Queensland, because yes, it is an extremely rough time. I am seeing Amy commenting here, done all the prep possible. Amy, hopefully everything goes really well for you. Stay safe, please. But we'll keep Aviation's comment pinned there for the time being, because, again, the well-being of everyone in Queensland is the most important thing right now. That said, talking about the football side of things, we heard that the game was going to be postponed. We kind of knew that in the case of Geelong and Brisbane, it was going to be an easier fix. Both teams very convenient happened to have their bye off the back of participating in opening round in round 3. So we kind of assumed that round 3 would be when they rescheduled the game to. That is now official. But the more complicated one, the messier one, is the Essendon and Gold Coast matchup, which is, I don't think, played out in a way that anyone necessarily expected. But let's quickly deal with the Geelong one. The Lions were set to unfurl their premiership flag against Geelong at Gabba on Thursday night, but will now instead face the Cats on Saturday, round 3 at 6:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or 7:35 for us here in Victoria. And there's another one. Geelong and Brisbane both had buys scheduled for round 3, making that move far simpler than the Gold Coast Essendon game, which was slated for this Saturday evening. That one, as we scroll down just a little bit here, is now scheduled for round 24. They already had games in round 24, so I'm really confused as to how they want to do this. Apparently, the mic is acting up a little bit. Please tell me I'm mindful of not fiddling with it too much, because it's a very fickle piece of this one. I'll make sure I sit nice and close where I can. So they're specifically saying in the buy. It was that round 24 floating fixture with some of the wording before. Maybe they've kind of clarified that a little bit further now, which is a weird one because, of course, both teams already have a match and both teams could be vying for final spots. So it's a weird one. Good. These mosquitoes, you'd think it was a 40-degree day today. But anyway, they're buzzing around. We'll squash them when we go. It's a really fascinating one. Of course, they then talk about some broadcasting stuff. Who really cares? Like, that's not the priority in this whole thing. Of course, the AFL is having to work with their broadcast partners and the different grounds when it comes to also scheduling and availability and those sort of things. They are factors, but let's not get too carried away here in terms of news. It doesn't matter. We would like to thank our club's broadcasters and venues for their cooperation and this during this unprecedented situation. And our thoughts remain with staff, players, fans, and all in Southeast Queensland and Northern New South Wales that may be impacted. That is, again, of course, the priority right now. It's also a priority to nip little bastards like this in the bud. All right, moving on. Moving on from that one. Brisbane both and Gold Coast trained on Wednesday before all players and staff headed home due to the extreme weather. Both clubs have scheduled training sessions for Sunday and won't train again until then. This is obviously going to be a thing for a few days. Safety for players, for their families, and for everyone else in Queensland is the priority. Will the new dates be on Channel 7 in Victoria? I don't know. It's so messy, the current broadcast rights. I can't remember right now. It hasn't really, because we haven't had football yet, it's not really been ingrained in my routines just yet. I'm not 100% sure with the new dates whether that means that it'll be a free-to-air game or whether it'll be a KO, Foxtel, Fox Sports game. Is the worst. So hopefully we I think we'll have a good sense for that in the next week or so. Once we really get our head around what the broadcast rights look like for round 1, I think we can extrapolate that pretty comfortably for round 3. Just skimming through the comments here. Going to try and fixture them for the earliest time round 4 and have them play on the Wednesday, they said. Okay, so there's a little bit of extra detailing. Fox only for Geelong and delayed with Channel 7 broadcasting Queensland. Okay, so there's that other complicating factor of the different states and how it gets broadcast into those. It's messy enough as it is, and now we've got the differences from state to state, which I know makes sense because AFL's not the top sport in New South Wales and Queensland, but geez, it makes it messy. What else have we got here? Skimming through the comments. That looks like it's about it around that topic for the time being. Let's move on to our next topic here, which is, as we go back full screen and bring up the topic, it is some commentary from our fearless leader, Patrick Dangerfield, if I can find it, because there's a million stories we're going through tonight. On the end right here. Oh, the Fox Sports side is now cracking it at me. But he's basically talking about shorter games and 34 rounds. So there's been a bit of ongoing commentary, I suppose you could say, about how games could look. Come on, there it is. There it is. We're up and running now. We're up and running. We are having some technical issues tonight. About game length and the number of games. There's a whole range of kind of hotbed topics that keep getting discussed. These have been ongoing ones for quite some time. But revival of footy's heyday and a push for more even fixtures are behind Patrick Dangerfield's view on shortening AFL quarters. Dangerfield and the AFL, who, as the AFLPA president, has sparked debate on shortening quarters in the wake of the NBA's push to improve TV ratings by reducing its periods. The NBA's problems right now aren't the length of the games. It is the players that are playing for fouls and going to the free line, and it is the excessive number of three-point shooting that is driving some people away from the NBA right now. Personally, I still find it very entertaining, but it is lesser at the moment. But that's by the by. He believes trimming quarters from 20 minutes plus time on could allow for more games, leading to fairer fixtures and a style reminiscent of the high-scoring 1980s. I think what shortened quarters can do is potentially open up the fixture. That's one of the biggest challenges in the competition because you don't play everyone twice. And look, he's right at its core. One of the big compromises in the AFL system, the fixturing system, is the fact that you only play 6 teams twice. We went through this when we went through the fixture recently. That there's only, I think we've got, what did we say? It was Port Adelaide, Brisbane, and I've forgotten the other team, and GWS, that we play twice this year of our top 8 teams from last year, and then 3 from the bottom half of the ladder. That's not going to work out fair and equitably for every other team. Some teams it's balanced, some it can be quite imbalanced. And the easiest solution, of course, is to play every team once or twice. We know the AFL is not going to reduce the number of games. The only way that this happens is if it goes up. My question and concern is, like, would people want 34 rounds of football? I mean, the majority want 34 rounds of football plus finals. It's a lot. So as much as I think I would go for it, I suspect most people in the chat tonight would also be really, really keen on the idea of 34 rounds of football. I could also just see a lot of people checking out, or, the number of people watching game to game drops because it's just so much football. We're talking about going from essentially what works out to be about 22 rounds. 22 by, what are we playing? 9 games around. 198 games plus finals to 34 by 9, 306. Like, we're adding over 100 games to the season. It's a lot of football. And I think for those of us who are the hardcore, I guess, footy fans, for want of a better phrase, no issues. But for the fair weather fan, for the families, those like for family cohesion and productivity, there might be some concerns around that. I do understand where he's coming from, though, in terms of managing players, looking after injuries, and potentially improving the quality of the game, though. It makes a lot of sense. But there's, I think, some balancing required to make something like this work. And I'm seeing some comments here. We're seeing some division, which is nice. Mighty Sparlock with yes to more footy. Jackie, on the other hand, I'm sorry, I love danger, hate the idea. And same from Aviation Flicks. Yeah, it's... I'm not 100% on board with it. I think there's a sweet spot middle ground, and that probably does include a few more rounds. But yeah, I don't think you could replay the whole competition twice. It's just too much, and I guess that big difference between, say, us and NBA is that they'll have a game, like a team will play a game and then back up for another one 2-3 days later, sometimes even the very next night. That's just not feasible with the AFL system and the recovery and the nature of the game. Like, it's a much longer game. Although, like, one half of one NBA game is equal to about half of an AFL match in terms of actual minutes playing the sport. So there's a big difference there. And it's going to take a little bit of work, I think, to refine it. But we'll see how that one all plays out. All right, let's move across to our next topic here. I think I've accidentally closed a story. But we'll move on to our next one, which is about Chantel Edmondson. Some fantastic news coming from the Geelong AFLW team. Of course, a negative impact for our on-field lineup for next year, but fantastic for her family because she's pregnant. And that means that, I guess, the nature of the beast for the AFL system, she gets put on the inactive list. Sorry, the AFLW system. She gets put on the inactive list. She's announced that she'll be sitting out 2025 season after announcing her pregnancy. It'll be her first child for the 31-year-old Edmondson and fiance. But the Cats have had a number of mothers return to the field over the last few years. Edmondson's a 67-game veteran, having started her career at Melbourne before moving to the Cats ahead of 2022. And here's the little social post, which I think is very, very cute. Mum number 16, some little our little photo, and my first footy. Very nice stuff there. Congratulations to Chantel and the family. Of course, when we talk about the AFLW, the Geelong team, that's a big gap to fill. But I think everyone here tonight, as well as those certainly at the club, will all agree that family comes first. And I'm really excited for her and her family. And we look forward to that all going really well. And then whenever she's ready, a return to football, a return to dominance for the Cats. Our next story tonight is about the legendary Joel Selwood, who is taking on a new media role here with 3AW. He's joining the team for 2025. My God, the number of ads here. Selwood has taken on an array of roles since calling time on his decorated 355-game career at the end of 2022, holding positions with the AFL, Melbourne Storm, Australian cricket team, Channel 7, and back with Geelong. It probably would have been nice to have him with the Australian cricket team, where he would have said, hey, it's probably not the best idea to get rid of all of our best bowlers going into the Champions Trophy. You might actually get over India in that semi-final otherwise. Common sense left when Joel Selwood did. That's not really how it played out at all, but I like the theatre of it. He's going to be doing some work with 3AW, which is awesome. Let me know in the chat tonight whether you're a 3AW radio consumer of the football, whether Triple M is your go, whether you're SEN, let us know what your poison is. K-Rock, of course, being a Geelong-focused show here. Let me know in the comments who you tune into when you tune into the radio. But a four-time winner of the AFLPA's Most Courageous Player of the Year award, Selwood was also added to the Rising Star voting panel last year, an award he won in his maiden season with the Cats in 2007. Yeah, that's a fantastic point, Jackie. Yeah, like really, we're promoting Zero Hanger, we're promoting Fox Footy. There you go. Look. We've got a far better footy tipping competition to join. The Hoops Crew one. Check out the details in the show notes. Joel Selwood is one of modern football's most respected characters, station manager Stephen Beers said in a statement. We're delighted to welcome him to football's number one call team, where he will join some of the most iconic voices in the game. Selwood's first game in the 3AW commentary box will come at Cardinia Park when Geelong host Fremantle for their round one bout, with Selwood to be utilised for the Thursday night and Saturday afternoon affairs. 3AW have also secured retired Adelaide great Rory Sloane for the season ahead, with the ex-Crows skipper joining Selwood, Matthew Richardson, other Geelong legend Jimmy Bartell, Tony Shaw, Libby Birch, and Matthew Lloyd among the station's analysts. Could I put the AFL tipping link in the chat? I could probably look into doing that. If Ben hasn't already put it in the show notes, I'll go and hunt it down. So bear with me for a moment. I'll try and spin that one while the show is live. He hasn't put it in the show notes, for shame. Ben will dock your pay. Sorry, we don't get paid. I'll try and find those details whilst we jump into the next story, though, which is about Zach Toohey, who, speaking of media roles, is joining K-Rock this season. The Geelong broadcaster is pleased to welcome Geelong Premiership star Zach Toohey to radio stations K-Rock 95.5 and Bay 93.9. Oh, Ben's on the job here. Awesome. Thanks, mate. Like I said, Docky's pay is slow on the job. I'm kidding, mate. Doc might pay for throwing you under the bus. Toohey will be part of K-Rock Football's Cats coverage as a match day expert throughout the season, which can be heard on FM 95.5 or via the new K-Rock app. On Thursdays, he'll join Mill and Nick in the morning as Bay 93.9's resident tipster on air through the 2025 football season. And then we talk about Zach Tui and all his awesome contributions. One of the AFL's great stories, Ireland-born Tui played 288 games after joining Carlton in the 2010 rookie draft. He made 120 appearances for the Blues before being traded to Geelong ahead of the 2017 season, where he then represented the Cats for 168 other matches, including the 2022 grand final, where we iconically saw him carrying the Irish flag and doing an amazing job. Some less relevant news is that he's more recently been in the South African jungle for the reality TV series I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, a show that has a couple of celebrities and mostly a bunch of no-names. He'll join Mill and Nick in the morning from Thursday, March 6th, and will be part of the K-Rock football coverage of the Cats clash with Fremantle from GMHBA Stadium on Saturday, March 15th. I am not overly fussed here about what broadcast partners and general managers have to say, but there's what general manager Rachel Patterson had to say. And I do kind of agree with the sentiment that he's got quick wit, a wicked sense of humor, and a solid set of values. He's going to be a great asset for anyone, really. There we go. There's Ben with the footy tipping details. footytips.com.au/comps/the-hoops-crew2025. Click on the link that's in the comment section and join the competition. I joined it myself the other day, and there's quite a lot of people in there. It's awesome what Ben's already built. Hopefully, well, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong here again in the comments. You can contribute $10 with it. Like, you can play it for free, no dramas. If you tip in $10, you'll then a chance to actually win your share of the prize at the end of the season as well. Our next story for the night is about Shane O'Brien, who has contributed to the Cats for such a long time. It's been 12, 13 years at this point, I would say, where he's done some incredible jobs for the Cats over a long, long time, but he is leaving to go join the Pies, the traitor. Well, I guess he was actually more of a traitor in the first place. He was a Pie at heart, wasn't he? Geelong recruiter Shane O'Brien will depart the club after accepting a position as Collingwood's National Recruitment Manager. O'Brien has been a member of Geelong's football department for over 12 years, having originally joined as an assistant coach in October of 2012. After working with the Cats midfield group for the first 2 seasons, O'Brien moved into a development coaching role in 2015, and he was appointed senior coach of the Cats VFL program in 2016, guiding the side to finals in his first season. In 2022, it was announced that O'Brien would take on the newly created role of AFL midfield and list assistant before later moving into Geelong's recruiting team as a recruiter. And now, as we know, he's off. $5, Ben clarifies. He's off to the Pies once again. Executive General Manager Football, Andrew Mackey, thanked O'Brien for his extensive contribution to Geelong. Shane has been integral in helping the club, working across numerous positions in our football department, first as a coach and more recently as a recruiter. And it's an exciting time for Shane, and we wish him and his family all the best for the future. We do. An echo. What is going on with my mic tonight? It could also be that I just sound horrific because I'm incredibly nasally. I've been sick ever since the Green Day gig on the weekend, and it's just kind of been getting worse over the course of the week. Oh, fixed now. Maybe I just need to get my positioning right. Thanks, Lucas. All right, our next story for the night, and we're inching closer and closer to some Q&A. We finalised the VFL playing list for 2025, and we focus in particular on some familiar faces that are on the list. Geelong have confirmed their VFL final playing list ahead of the 2025 season, and there's some experienced faces, some familiar faces on the list. Announced late last year, ex-AFL players Nathan Kruger and Jay Rantel will join the Cats VFL program this year, providing valuable depth to Mark Corrigan's squad. The development list also features players who've pulled on the hoops previously, including Oscar Riccardi, Kai Anand, and Tanner Lewis. Geelong's VFL team will kick off its 2025 campaign on March 23rd, heading to Trevor Barker Oval for a clash with Sandringham. Mark Corrigan returns as head coach, looking to build on a successful 2024 season, which saw the Cats return to VFL finals for the first time in 5 years. And we'll take a quick look over the list here. Of course, again, there's a smattering of AFL, of like ex-AFL listed players here. Skimming through, and of course, there's Nathan Kruger, as previously mentioned. We've got our development list down here as well. And we'll get to see a lot from them over the course of the year. And of course, as Ben shouts out in the comments there, it's awesome to see Riccardi back, a guest of Behind the Play, a friend of the Hoops crew, and we wish him nothing but the best. And we're getting people like aviation joining the footy tipping competition. That's fantastic to see. All right, next story is a topic that was discussed quite a bit late last season. And I'm pretty sure that's probably a photo of Clayton Oliver at Reece Stanley's farm. Melbourne midfielder Clayton Oliver has spoken candidly about overcoming his checkered past, revealing he was on the trade table at the end of last season. No shit, mate. We know you were almost at the Cats. And so much so is the heartwarming nature of Oliver's rejuvenation that a former D's great believes it poses as motivation for the Bulldogs gun battling his own personal issues, which of course is Jamara Ugle-Hagan. We'll talk more about him momentarily. True. Jackie's just popped in there shouting at, where's Brendan? That's an excellent point. Brendan would love any opportunity to talk about the VFL, and then of course Mitch Hardy. Well, his name's been shouted out at least. Oliver, 27, relayed to reporters the frank chat he had with the club president Brad Green late last year, divulging he was under the impression he was going to be dealt last October amid interest from Geelong. That followed a similarly speculative 2023 offseason that drew Oliver to Adelaide trade talks after questions had earlier been raised over his professionalism and off-field issues. The 183-game player conceded last season wasn't his best, having managed 21 senior games, but statistically producing his worst season since 2016 as a rookie. And while he admitted he's not fully back to his best, he's getting there. He's looked pretty sharp in the preseason games so far. That is a Clayton Oliver who looks pretty close to his best again. But he thinks he's building every week. Had a good chat to Goody, which is obviously Simon Goodwin, about where I'm at, and I'm pretty realistic about where I'm at. I missed a fair bit of footy over the last couple of years due to my hammy and my knee. I think preseason is probably the most important thing, where you make all your gains and you need to work hard there. You need to get all your sessions ticked off. It's a real building block and you've got to build on it every year. I'm happy with where I'm at the moment. With incessant departure rumours now parked, Oliver said he has been feeling the love from the D's big time, sharing details of his eye-opening discussion with the president. And this is obviously the important one because it's probably what halted that deal in the first place. I had a good chat with Brad Green around best and fairest time, and I was sort of getting traded there for a bit, which was a bit annoying, the star contested ball winner says. But things happen in the business we're in, and I wasn't performing, and I probably wasn't up to scratch off the field or on the field, so it's understandable from that point of view. But yeah, I had a good chat with him, and he said, you aren't leaving, you're staying, so it was a good show of love there. Asked if he became overcome with emotion during his chat with Green. Oliver said it was hard to recall, but remembers the hectic nature of the period. I don't know if I teared up, but I can't really remember it too much. But I think there was a fair bit going on at that time. I remember I was in the gym when he called, and I was sort of like, what's going on now? But it was actually a really good call, and it's probably the first time that I felt like that, especially for someone that high up at the club to put their arms around me. And that's about all we need to focus on there. Press specifically about how close a trade to Geelong was coming to fruition. The former number 4 draft pick says he understood the Demons then desired to explore a move. Yeah, it was pretty close. Well, I obviously got told that I was on the trade table, and there are a few things going on, which is, as I said before, I understand. He's not speaking very well, but anyway, here we are. Would have been great to have him. And look, there's a possibility it might still be a thing in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see. There's players that get linked to clubs all the time that never work out. Of course, this year Matt Rowell is on the trade table for us. That seems to be discussed quite a bit already. There'll be more undoubtedly as well. Of course, Zach Butters is being heavily linked coming back to Victoria. Don't rule out Geelong being linked to that because we're linked to kind of any high-profile player these days. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Next topic for conversation is, come here, some important changes to the McClelland Trophy. And I think changes people are going to appreciate. So in the last couple of seasons, since the AFLW's really popped off and all clubs have finally been represented in the women's game equal to that of the men's game. There's been a very interesting make a Butters video. I don't think there's enough to kind of base that on. We'll see how we go. If Geelong's name gets mentioned even once, then I'll be into it. But that is an interesting one for a video. Mr. Davies Uniacke. We'll see how that goes. All right, so the McClellan Trophy has been kind of the weighting's been imbalanced. So the AFL men's side of it, fine, very clean cut. But wins in the women's game were contributing more points to the overall, which was a combined amount from the men's and women's game. It was contributing twice the amount. It was like 8 points per win. Obviously, the ladder wouldn't be affected, but in terms of the McClellan Trophy, it was considering 8. It was considered 8 points for a win, which would then, I guess, balance the men's and women's game somewhat because of obviously the larger number of games that the men's comp plays. But it then meant that you got some weird scenarios where you got Brisbane, for example, who won the men's competition, were runner-up in the women's, who didn't win the McClellan Trophy. And in fact, Hawthorn did. And so there's been some work done to kind of fix it up. And it's a far more simplistic sort of policy here. Under the new criteria, at the end of the finals in both the men's and women's competitions, teams will be ranked 1 through to 18, with the top-ranked team getting 18 points and the bottom-ranked team getting 1 point. Where 2 teams are knocked out in the same week of the finals, the club that finished higher on the ladder at the end of the home and away season will be given a higher ranking. In the event that 2 or more clubs have the equal highest combined ranking score, the number of trophy points and then combined percentage will be used as a tiebreaker. Basically, you're just inverting the ladders, adding the points. Whichever team has the most points wins. And I think that is far more simplistic, far more logical. It then doesn't matter which competition plays more or less games. It just means that the top-ranked team in both competitions, if your club happens to be in that position, fantastic, you're going to win it. And it'll just get balanced out. The law of averages will sort things out from there. I think it's a very, very logical decision. And yeah, change comes after the Hawks won last year's based on home and away formula. Despite both the men's and women's team being knocked out in the semi-finals, Brisbane progressed further. Go figure. And so that's really the end of that one. Our next story I mentioned is about Jamara Ugle-Hagan. I have, of course, put a video together about Jamara in the off-season where, look, some Bulldog supporters weren't a fan of it, but it was really just kind of speculating a little bit, given the circumstances, where he might go and how potentially Geelong could get caught up in it. There's been no actual connections that I'm aware of, but speculating nonetheless. And really, the main priority is he's got to repair some damaged relationships with teammates and staff before he makes a return for the Dogs. The key forward returned to training 3 weeks ago, having taken personal leave across pre-season and, along with a positive experience in the Indigenous All-Stars game, is pushing towards senior selection. However, the Age's Sam McClure reports, and there's several other people reporting the same news, Ugle-Hagan won't be considered at AFL level until he fixes the relationships with, there's 3 key figures at the club. Those include Marcus Bontempelli, the captain, teammate Rory Lobb, who he'd lived with for a while in the late last year, and coach Luke Beveridge. It's not being discussed publicly what Jamara has been up to. I've been told, and I'll have to keep that to myself. But needless to say, Rory Lobb in particular, not overly pleased with it, as a housemate of his. But yeah, there's just a lot. No. Sorry, you're definitely not ignorant. It's one of those things that, like, if you listen to anyone, especially like the traditional media talking about it, they are deliberately tiptoeing around it. It's not a topic that we really want to be discussing for the most part due to different AFL policies, etc., that are in place. So no, you're not ignorant. It's just one of those ones that it's being tiptoed around. It feels like one of those stories that's kind of right there on the edge of kind of popping through, but it just, for whatever reason, hasn't. And I don't think that's the worst thing, to be honest. So yeah, he's got to win some faith back with those players, and then who knows? I mean, the reality is, if he doesn't get these things right, and I can't remember. I heard someone talk about it in the media in the last few days, and I actually wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment. If you lose the coach, but you've got the captain on board, that can save you. If you lose the captain, but you have the coach, that probably saves you as well. But when you lose both, you've got a big problem. And right now he's lost the faith of both. So he's got to do a lot of work. And if he really cares about this and if he really values it, then I expect him to do that work and come back firing. But I mean, there's been reports about him basically doing a Jack Ginnivan and going out before the semi-final, where he then got 4 touches, went goalless, basically contributed nothing. There's been some other things that have gone public, but that is more in the realm of not being a professional sports person, how it's affected your game. There's other stuff behind the scenes that, as Buffy, gee, I'm so tired today. Bussy Sniffer references, we don't need to know everything about the players' personal lives, and I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I happen to find out through people that I know, and I'm pretty happy that it hasn't gone public. Like, we just don't need these sort of things bubbling up. Oh, we're getting more ads. Yeah, and here it is. Yet Ugle-Hagan was eventually selected for the final anyway. Puzzling started on the bench and had minimal impact. Yeah, there's some references then to Clayton Oliver and the troubles he had. That was then, of course, referenced in that article about Clayton Oliver and what he had. Problem with footy clubs is it's not one player who's taking everyone's energy. If he wasn't number 1 draft pick, he's probably gone by now. He's got to realise his career will be over in 2 to 3 years if he doesn't sort this out. So, according to the report, the Bulldogs confirmed Ugle-Hagan needed to rebuild trust with some teammates and officials and said he had returned to the club with renewed positivity and professionalism after last month's Indigenous All-Stars match. Paul will stop sniffing as a goal is crazy. I'm not following. All right. Oh, is this the new super chat goal? Paul, stop sniffing. Mate, I'm sick. But if someone wants to drop a super chat in there, I'll do my best. I'll just tuck my nose off camera. Is it that bad? I didn't even realize it was that bad. I can't see when I'm in StreamYard here using the thing, I can't actually see the super chat goals. It's just me having the YouTube video open on my side. Anyway, arsehole. Now, next story here is a very serious one. It is about Nicky Winmar, who is spearheading a racism lawsuit against the AFL. Lawyers say former star footballer Nicky Winmar could spearhead a class action lawsuit against the AFL, which is being sued by Indigenous players who suffered racism abuse on the field. I haven't sneezed yet. Oh, God, I don't know. Winmar, now 59, was at the centre of one of the league's most iconic moments 3 decades ago when he was photographed defiantly lifting his jumper and pointing to his skin whilst being racially abused by Collingwood fans at Victoria Park. Michael Margalit, the lawyer running the class action on behalf of the players, told reporters outside the Supreme Court of Victoria that Winmar was a group member in the suit and was willing to become a co-plaintiff in the case. He really stands to fight to eradicate racial vilification in the game, Ms. Margalit said. Mr. Winmar suffered prolonged racial vilification in the workplace, and this certainly culminated in that famous moment when he was photographed in 1993. And there's a lot here about the report, but expect this one to continue to build and be a topic of discussion over the course of the year. Certainly any class lawsuits kind of tend to gain a bit of attraction, tend to gain a bit of interest. Of course, there's similar sorts of conversations going now on at the moment about the concussion. And our own Max Rook has been one of the spearheads for that particular campaign. And I'm going to sniff again because it's just lingering. I can't help it. Someone throw a super chat in there. We'll see what that does for it. Can't promise anything, though. There's a lot more. AFL clubs, North Melbourne, Essendon, Collingwood, Geelong, and Carlton could also be dragged into the case if the plaintiffs chose to take action against them. Why? Oh, it's a long report and there's a lot to come out about it, but there's lots of reports of racism, unfortunately, over many years. And let's hope that we come to a solution that is respectful of annoying. Yeah, okay, I get it. It's annoying me too, actually. Let's hope that comes to a conclusion though that is right for all those who've been affected over many years. Racism is not appropriate in any part of society, let alone sport. So, fingers crossed that comes to the right conclusion at the end of the day. Next up, Ben's getting a little bit ambitious with a story like this. We're biting off a bit too much, I think, in this case. Dwayne Russell has a tipping strategy, and I guess Ben wants me to talk about it because of what conflicts with his own one. Go check out the tipping point, everyone. So apparently this has worked pretty well for Dwayne Russell in the last few years. He won the SEN competition in 2023. He won a equal first in 2024 because he basically breaks the teams into 4 brackets that justify. So you got bracket 1, basically our top 8 teams for the most part, with Melbourne slipping in there. Bracket 2, the Dogs, Port and Adelaide. Bracket 3, Essendon, St Kilda, Gold Coast and North Melbourne. Bracket 4, West Coast and Richmond. And his simple formula is he placed them into the 4 brackets, seen below. The first rule is always pick the team that's in the higher ranked bracket. And the second rule is if 2 teams meet from the same bracket, always pick the home team. I guess if you're in the Hoops Crew footing tipping contest, consider that as a viable strategy. Now, next up, we are going to get to a whole lot of Q&A, so start piling those questions in, regardless of what you want to talk about, whether that is Geelong, whether that's the AFL more broadly, whether you want to talk about some off-topic stuff. Been seeing some really great off-topic conversation in the chat the last few nights, as well as on the Discord. Feel free to toss those questions, comments, concerns in there. But first, a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for everything you do in your support of the Hoops Crew and what we're up to. And as Jackie says, wow, that strategy is so much simpler than Ben's. Ben, my theory is that Ben lit up a joint before he recorded that video, and now he's committed to it, so he's just got to stick with it. But he says we'll all be copying him after round 4. Mate, I don't smoke. So you do you. All right, question time. People, throw whatever you've got at me. There's lots that I'm keen to chat about. It is, as I said, a different sort of night tonight. We're not following our same usual structure simply because we weren't even meant to have a show tonight. But the game has been postponed. We don't have our normal preview model we can go to. So let me know what you've got, whether that is Geelong related, AFL related, video game related, whether it's other sports, whatever it is that you've got, throw it my way. I am keen to chat about it in some depth. I'm resetting all of my internet settings in the meantime. And you might, well, we'll see how it all plays out. You might be pleased to know I went and fired out some rockets outside of the shed there. So hopefully less sniffing to contend with throughout the remainder of the show. All right. Ben insists everyone's going to be copying. It's not going to happen. So I guess whilst we wait for some questions to pile in, $10 to fire a rocket on stream. Oh, we've just dropped a super chat. I don't have tissues in here. This is a shed. The best I've got is a wad of half-size sticky notes. I wasn't expecting this. The nose only started really flowing because I've been talking a lot. I'm not using my flanny. Do I have to go off stream for a second to go get some tissues? I can't believe we've got a super chat for me to blow my nose. I think I saw before the show that Ben might have had it. I think the goal might have been what was the goal, Ben? The goal was to if he sniffs once, he's a scammer. Oh no. I'll just mute myself every time. Hang on. You didn't hear shit. What did we have before? It was like singing a line from the Geelong theme song. Sing the second verse. I don't even know how the second verse goes. Good thing you changed that goal then, hey. And I can barely get like just a single sentence out, let alone something in song at the moment. Now, if I feel the snot coming now, I'm gonna. Oh, that's right. It's the stand up and fight. Remember our tradition stuff. Thank you. I'm still not doing it because he changed the super chat goal. We'll try that some other time if you want. There's probably no better comment that we'll get tonight. All about sniffing. Take your advice. So I guess whilst we wait for some questions to potentially come in, I sniffed when I was muted, didn't I? The second verse is the better verse. So stand up and fight. Remember our tradition. Stand up and fight. It's always our ambition throughout the game to fight with all our might because we're the mighty blue and white. And when the ball is bounced to the final bell, stand up and fight. It is pretty good. Did I? Oh, this sucks. You didn't hear it. I muted it again. All right. Geelong and Freo. Who in the chat tonight is going to the Geelong and Freo game? I didn't promise singing Sparlock. He changed the goal beforehand. To something about me sniffing. So, sucked in, everyone. Yeah, super chat. Paul will stop sniffing. Yeah, anyway. It hasn't worked very well, has it? But thank you, Bussy, for the super chat tonight. All right. So I'm seeing Aviation saying you're going. You got seats in A5. Jackie saying, yep. Reg Hickey for Aviation. Good to see we've got a nice contingency going. I assume, Ben, if you're there still, that you're going. The chaps, I don't know if they're making the drive down. I'll be there with my son for his first ever game in Geelong. First official game in Geelong. We went to... It was Geelong and Richmond pre-season a couple of years back now, maybe 2 years ago. It was like a 6-quarter match. We left after the third because, he was 4 then and his younger sister was even 2. So it was a lot for kids of that age, but he's really excited and ready to go. Keen to see his first game in Geelong. These mosquitoes. Bit of Karate Kid action for everyone. No messing around in this place. So yeah, really, really excited to get along to that one. Of course, just to get season 2025 up and running. We've now been delayed a week, which is not ideal, but it is what it is, right? So looking forward to getting to the game, looking forward to seeing the Cats in action, forward to see what Bailey Smith can provide. I did hear some reporting about Jack Martin being about 4 or 5 weeks away, most likely, as they just kind of gradually build him up. It'll be good to see him in action in a few weeks. There's some really exciting elements to the upcoming game with Freo. The fact that now becomes our season opener is, it's cool. I'm all in on it. Serious question. I seriously don't see us dominating the mid. How is it going to be any different from last year? I think some maturity. Oh, hang on. Just to quickly add that on. Ben is going to be there with some Hoops Crew stickers. Find him in A27. So make sure you scoop up some Hoops Crew stickers. Ben, I'm going to grab a couple off you when I'm there, so bring some spares. Oof. Gross. Sorry if anyone just suddenly has their ears blown out by me clapping. But these mosquitoes are ridiculous tonight. So, yeah, from there, how's it going to be any different? I think some maturity in some of the, I guess Shadu, I've got good blood. Some maturity in some of those bodies. Like Max Holmes is going to be better again. Tanner Bruin's going to be a bit better again. Those younger guys that are coming through, mate, we can't have mosquito-related goals. I don't know when another mosquito is going to come back through. I've smashed 3 or 4 of them tonight, though, that said. They're selling Tom Hawkins books for $8. How many mozzies can I squash? As many as come past me. I'm just really worried that I'm just going to blow someone's ears out with a clap right next to the microphone. Okay, sorry. Getting back to it. So the maturity of the midfielders, I think, is the real key thing here. We've got obviously some experienced heads coming through there, but you do have, and admittedly he's a reigning Cargie Greaves medalist, but get Barkley on the stream. I mean, if there was a show to do it, it's probably the Paul James show. So I might think about that shortly. But yeah, the maturity in there, the development of the game plan, Bailey Smith coming in as a huge addition as well. We're still not going to be the A1 midfield of the competition, but I think we're getting closer and closer. Pity Mozzies don't suck snot. All right, I'm going to get Barkley. Let's see how it goes. Bear with me. Got a few sneaky sniffs in too. None of you would have heard it. We'll see if he comes over. I've left the door open. Here he is. Hey, mate. Come on, up you get. Barkley makes his first cameo on stream. There he is. He's having an interesting time of it at the moment because, as I think I've spoken about on the show, we've also got a new puppy in the house at the moment, miniature dash hound. I'll see if I can find the photo of Goldie, but because it's probably going to upset Barkley if I. Hang on, where is she? There she is. Because she doesn't really spend any time yet. Anyway, you get settled there. So they don't get a lot of time. He's probably feeling a little bit unloved to a degree at the moment, but he doesn't normally get to make cameos like this on camera or in this shed, really. So I think he's loving it at the moment. Official dog of the Hoops crew. Better than Pumpkin, by the way. Oh, cats don't treat you like this, Ben. Cats just aren't as good. And I say that we got a cat. She's also not taking the addition of a new dog overly well. She's stress eating, and she's become a fat ass in the last few days. Man, if you can, I still like cats, but they're not as good as dogs. You know, man's best friend and all that, right? Your dog wants to eat him. What breed of dog do you have? Pumpkin's still number one cat, mate. Once Willow loses her angry, jealous, fat. Oh, now you want to play. All right, you can come back up. Right. Once she loses her jealous, fat weight, it's on. We'll get the social media polls going again. All right, no, mate, you got to go. Hang on. Oh. All right, that was Barkley. Maybe the first of many appearances on the show over the course of the next few years. If he continues to behave like he did just then, I mean, I'm soaked now, but then we might bring him in more often. All right, there's so many people now just taking issue with me. Surely those of you who are dropping, he's a Dogs fan. Dogs fan. Oh, hang on, there's aviation both times. Lord Flashheart. Do I do something stupid and just let the dog go ballistic on my nose? I don't care. Whatever. I'll leave that there and we'll see what people think. I'm prone to dumb ideas. Oh, God. I'm seeing some do-it's already starting to... He's not happy. Sounds like he's telling me off in the background. You're right. This is incredibly stupid. But peer pressure always wins, right? Apparently you got a clean job to do, mate. How about it? What? You've stopped. Even you know this. He's just not doing anything. Wants nothing to do with the nose. Absolutely nothing to do with the nose. Even he knows it's a problem. Well, I tried. Go again. He just will not. Jack Russell's are smart. They're going to fall for that stupid shit. Right, down your hop. Right. Is that what it's like in the classroom too? I don't normally bring dogs along with me to class. And I run I teach so many year 10s, 11s, and 12s. I don't have time for fun and frivolity. Do the students lick his nose? No. But Blake Brown, if you happen to be watching the stream tonight, who pops in from time to time, he'll be able to attest that no one's licked my nose. As a former year 12 of mine. I'm like watching the YouTube video back now, and I'm just seeing how colossally it failed, as Barkley wasn't licking my nose. But anyway. Secondary school teacher, brave man. For me, I feel like the brave ones are the primary school teachers. They're cleaning up. They're cleaning up a lot of mess that the really, really young ones make. There's a very needy factor that comes with kids of that age that, as I see as a parent of 2 kids that are in that sort of age window, that's difficult enough, let alone doing that with 20 plus, 25 plus students. That'd be chaos. If they all start crying over one scary scene in a book or something, like, oh no, give me a 15-year-old who's going to back chat me any day of the week. It's much easier to work with. And you're right. The primary school teachers need to deal with the parents more. But I think both areas of the system have their own strengths and their own weaknesses and their own pros and their own cons, I would say. And then it's really just a matter of which one is more your speed. The thing that I've kind of come to learn over the years, and I wouldn't necessarily encourage it. It really depends on, I think, it's like a different strokes, different folks sort of person and what you yourself feel comfortable with. It was my old school that I used to teach at over in Melton. Anyone? Oh, was that a Mozzie? No. My old school that I used to teach at over in Melton tried to do the ultra professional thing, buttoned up, behaving the right way, all those sorts of things. Then I think I was writing on the whiteboard one day and I made a mistake and I've just gone, oh shit. And the students just giggled. And I swung around and I apologized and they go, sir, don't worry about it. You hear us swear, like they're teenagers. You hear us swear all the time. Don't stress about it. And whilst I'm not saying that I'm walking around, dropping bombs left, right, and center, unless it's at dodgy Herald Sun article writers. Aussie. Once, like when I kind of had that moment, I made that mistake a couple of times, and I realized that there was just nothing to it. Like it just kind of grounded you and humanized you a little bit with the kids. And so from that moment, I was like, I'm just gonna, for the most part, just be myself. there's professional lines that you need to make sure that you don't step over, of course. I'm not going to turn around and start throwing bombs toward, like verbal bombs towards a student. I'm not going to be wildly unprofessional, all that sort of stuff. But like I was able to just chat about whatever, stir someone up a little bit, have a bit of fun, let them throw some jokes back at me. Like it's a very two-way street. And you got to be able to, dish it out, like take it if you're willing to dish it out, and have those sorts of relationships. And it's been one of the best things. It's been one of the best things that I think I ever did in this business, was just open the door up a little bit and let them in, rather than kind of have this cold exterior that doesn't really. I mean, not the teachers who, like, there's plenty of teachers who've got that warmth about them. But yeah, just cracking that door open a little bit into who I am and what I'm about broke down so many barriers, and I wouldn't change it at all now. And I love the secondary system for that reason, because they're old enough to understand it as well. Great news for games preservation. We'll be able to play Xbox 360 games on PC without piracy. Just need the original Xbox 360 executable files. Where's this? Is this something that's popped up recently? There's another one. I sprayed AeroGuard before the show. Xbox 360. Look, they've got to give you some sort of... They're going to get you to play a game somewhere else, because sure as shit, no one wants to buy an Xbox anymore. Please, people, don't buy an Xbox. Your games are just going to come to PlayStation anyway. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm reading about it now. You can now play Xbox 360 games on your PC or Steam Deck without an emulator, but most people will still need to wait. Why? Plenty of console excuses, blah, 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 blah. The only downside of this project, which isn't so much of a downside, but rather just a reality, is that most people won't be able to do this themselves. While you certainly can run Xenon Decomp on your favorite Xbox 360 games. Oh, first miss. There's still a lot of work to get it running, calling it a day, as the game won't necessarily compile right away. Okay, it's messy. To hell with that. Where can peeps watch my first ever YouTube video? My first. I mean, it'll be on the Player 2 YouTube channel. Surely. I'll skim back. I'll go across to the player2.net.au YouTube channel, and I'll date. Let's go the reverse. And there's some trailers initially. When is the first? Where is the first video that... It'll be an episode of Patched, though. April 2015, May 2015. A lot of trailers we were posting at the beginning. August 2015, I joined the team around now, so it's not going to be far away. It's further away than I thought. We post a lot of trailers at the beginning. It's a video review. Come on, where's... Needless to say, though, it was bad. What I was producing was bad content. 2016 video games draft. The video games. So I used to run... So on the Patched podcast feed, and if people scroll back far enough, you will find it. I'm just double checking that there wasn't a video before that. Looks like the answer is no. I used to basically run it was like a video, like a book club but for video games. And the first one went live on, what is the date there? Where'd it go? The 20th of January, 2016. It's been consumed by a whole 26 people. For the legendary Thomas Was Alone. All right. How much do we rate Freo for round one? I don't rate Freo. So I think we'll get the job done. This stream should come with a death warning. Oh, mate. The body count is getting... And not the entertaining, like, fun body count. We're just racking them up. Rated M for violence and gore. We'll have a death warning graphic ready for next time. Yeah, just some... Yeah, actually, Ben, if you can whip that up, like some sort of dead mosquito thing. I've even got one of these little things. But... Oh. I need to charge it. We'll get that ready for next time. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Because somehow we've managed to go over an hour anyway. You've got me going down memory lane here. Now I'm seeing our fantasy draft that we did in 2016. There's another video games club. Patched. First episode of Patched went live on March 8, 2016. No, sorry, March 1st, 2016. All about the 2016 DICE Awards. Good grief, it's been a long time. What's the probability of Zach Tui doing an interview for the channel? You reckon he'd come on? Ben, do you want to go chase the great man? He's still got time. He's only doing stuff for K-Rock. It's not like he's on TV as well. I'd love to have Zach Tui on. Obviously, Ben helped me get a copy of his book. Where is it? The Irish Experiment. Ben helped me get a signed copy of his book. Was it signed? It was signed somewhere. There it is. At the end of the year last year. Much appreciated. By Zach and Ben for scoring one for me. It'd be great to have Zach on the show. And he says he's working on it. Awesome to hear. Ben's hustling at the moment. We're trying to get some behind the play going. Lawson, if you're watching, drop a DM. Yes, please. It's a big ask to get. So as well as, I guess, to kind of paint the picture for everyone in terms of, like, I would love to get behind the play going. I'm really keen to get behind the play going. Logistically, there's headaches. There's certainly going to be, I think, some ideal windows for me to record those. So they won't be recorded live. They will be pre-recorded, as behind the play has always been. Getting guests has been a lot harder. We've had to work with the footy club, which is kind of what's really brought some of our player-based ones to a bit of a screeching halt. Because I think we're earning our stripes with the footy club still so far. And that's fair enough. That they're well within their rights to... It's their players, it's their processes. It takes a little bit of time, I think, to win them over and show them that we're a trustworthy group. Feel free, everyone watching and listening tonight, feel free to put those recommendations out there on Geelong socials whenever they're posting about players. Like, suggest that they come on the suggest that players come on the show. That would be awesome way, because eventually this stuff gets noticed. If people saying get them on the Hoops Crew, get them on behind the play. When demand is there, they'll be interested. So if you're keen to get more players on the show, that would be a great way to do it. And yeah, as Bussy says, spam them on Instagram. The players will. I mean, we've had players over the years who've been keen but been unable because of media, club processes. It's just working with club processes can be a little bit tricky. So. We'll see how that goes, but I'm keen to do more. Scheduling is really, really hard. So that peek behind the curtain is, obviously, we're doing this show live twice a week. I'll record the reaction video. I'll record enough of the week. I think I need to do enough of the week for Jesse Hogan, who managed to break his finger in a bus door, and hence won't play this week. I then do Patched of a night. That's another That's another 3 nights of podcasts or live shows already. There's all my games work that I do as well. So the written stuff. Dev Diary is already kind of on long-term hiatus at the moment. I also do some paid work. I wish I had the magazines here. I'm going to shamelessly plug this. I'm going on Etsy. Too old for gaming. I'm dropping an Etsy link here. Don't worry. It's all legit. I promise. This is a friend of mine, Sandeep Rai. Actually, I'll project it while we go because let's do this and do it properly. Share a screen. We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll go boom. There it is. Too Old for Gaming is, an interesting name that Sandeep came up with, but he's a mate of mine from the UK. He's been producing stuff around PlayStation for years, specifically PlayStation. We've got a lot of love for PlayStation between us. And we've been working on, so he years ago, before I even got involved with him, he put together this book, Vita Means Life, about the PlayStation Vita. And it's this comprehensive, but unofficial, comprehensive guide to the PlayStation Vita, the history of it, a lot of the big games. That's what kind of put him on my radar. And then I came to work with him. And so It Only Did Everything, which is about the PS3. Why is it? Oh, it's not. Hang on. Let's get the screen sharing going properly here because that's not working the way it's supposed to. That's better. So I'll bring all that back. So we've got, Vita Means Life. You can see there's a whole range of retrospectives and then stuff about a range of different games. There was Persona there. There's a whole bunch more. Then there's, It Only Did Everything, which is the most recent of our big hardcover books, where I've contributed a few chapters to that. I was talking about, what did I do? I did Assassin's Creed, the franchise retrospective, and Little Big Planet. So there's that. That's available now. You can see $57.74. It's through Etsy. So that'll then... Whoa. If you need some favors around that delivery cost, holy shit, I'll help with that because it does not... Anyway, we've got lots of Kickstarters going. The magazines, on the other hand, far more accessible, and I've contributed basically to every single one of those so far. So RPM, short for Retro PlayStation Magazine, it's all about retro PlayStation titles. We'll go lowest price; it'll be a bit easier to filter it all. We've got one that was a little, and they're proper magazines, like proper magazines there that you can check out. We'll get a little bit of a flick here. That was issue 2. We've obviously done a few of them at this point. Our 5th one has just gone through a Kickstarter, and that's gone really, really well as well. So I'm also, and I have not announced this anywhere yet, but it's probably safe for me to talk about it in an AFL football community and not a video game community. Right now, I am working. It is my own book here that Sandeep is going to help me publish. It is a full retrospective on Naughty Dog. That is the team responsible for Crash Bandicoot back in the beginning, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, The Last of Us, the upcoming Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet. This is the in terms of video games, this is the A1 developer. Them and Rockstar, the GTA developers, the top of the pile in this business, and I guess Nintendo. And I've got a full retrospective about their entire history. We're covering 40 of the biggest moments in that developer's history. I'm trying to work on some interviews for the magazine as well. This is going to be my own work. It's something I'm really, really excited about, but that takes up a bit of my time too as I continue to try and chip away at it on at least a weekly basis and knock out a few chapters or few pages every week. It's a lot. So that's kind of why sometimes logistically things like Behind the Play can be a bit difficult. And certainly, Ben, I know you're listening, things like the school holidays are really good times for me to run interviews because I've got more flexibility than ever before there. But I highly encourage people, if you're into PlayStation, we even do like manuals for games that these days you don't get physical manuals. but we make a whole bunch of manuals for games as well. So if you like PlayStation, that's one of my main pieces of work. Yeah, and I mentioned the Player 2 website before. If you're into game reviews and those sort of things, there's lots that we cover there. Patched has got a recent episode. I recently put together a review for Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which has come everywhere. Monster Hunter Wilds I've also contributed to as well. Heaps of awesome stuff, and there's some big games coming at the moment. I am still playing through Monster Hunter, as I probably will for the next few months. Also, 2 Point Museum I've got, which is an awesome sim. If you remember some of the old classics like Theme Park and Theme Hospital and all those sort of things, like this is a bit of a piss take on actual like running a hospital or running a museum or whatever. This is another one of those. It's amazing what they're doing today with this franchise. What else am I playing? Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch ahead of an embargo next week, where I can actually talk about whether it's any good or not. And Split Fiction, which is I believe the highest reviewed game of the year so far. I'm playing as well. There's a lot of video game stuff going on at the moment, and that's like I try and make that work alongside the Hoops Crew. So there's a lot. Oh, and I've got a family in there too. So anyway, any other questions, comments, or concerns tonight? Because I can see things are starting to slow down a little bit. When are we going to get an Adventures of Barkley the Dog YouTube channel? We probably won't. I don't have enough time to create any more content. Sorry, Ben. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from everyone? Otherwise, we might look to wrap things up for tonight. It's been an awesome show tonight. Thank you, everyone, for kind of bearing with me while I sniffle and snuffle my way through it while we work with a show on a show where the normal structures had to get thrown out the window due to the lack of football. Thank you, everyone, for kind of having piled in tonight and bared with me through all of this. And yeah, Ben also shouts out, check out the Freo Faithful channel this week, as one of us will be guesting on their pod. I did get a DM from someone from that team today. I forgot about it until just now. Where's it gone? It's still in my requests. So yeah, we might be, one of Ben or myself might be collaborating with them over the course of the next week or so, leading into round one as well. So stay tuned for that. We like collaborating with other content creators representing other clubs. It'll be awesome. All right. We'll wrap things up there then. The comments have absolutely dried up for tonight, and I need to go and cleanse my nose a little bit further, I think. Get some rest too, because it's been a horrifically long day today at work. Thank you, everyone, for having tuned in tonight. As always, your ongoing support is massively appreciated. We love getting to chat to you in the live chat. We love getting to take on super chats for blowing my nose. I'll come with a box of tissues next time, and I'll just give you an honorable nose blow just to pay my dues, I guess I should say. But thank you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, tell your friends and family about it, share the links to the Hoops Crew so that more people check out what we are up to. Comment, even if you're watching this after the show, comment in the comment section there, share your thoughts. We'd love to chat with you about all things football and off-topic stuff as well. The super chat function has been in use for the first time tonight. Thank you, Bussy, for dropping the super chat there. Like I said, I'll bring a box of tissues and blow my nose next time just to square the ledger. You're just concerned about my sniffles. I do appreciate your kind heart. Follow. You can find me at Paul James Games on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Twitter or X, whatever you choose to call it these days. The Hoops Crew can also be found on all of those platforms as well. Thank you, Cyril Cook Flores, for your ongoing support. Of course, we had the ad before. Thank you for all you do in helping us to continue to grow. And finally, there's the Patreon. Check out the Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get early access to videos. There's extended videos that you can check out. And there are some exclusive ones as well. So please make sure to check out all that we are up to. Lastly, please make sure, and Ben dropped the link in the show before, and it will be in the show notes after this show has finished going to air. make sure to jump into the footy tipping competition. As Ben highlighted before, there's a zero cost entry fee, but if you do want to compete for an overall prize, $5 gets you in. So make sure to check that out as well. Beyond that, tune in again on Sunday night for the Paul James Show. Not exactly sure how I'm going to structure it because, again, we don't have a game to review at that point, but we'll make it work. And then from next Thursday night, it is preview time. We get into the show, back to normal sort of routines, previewing the Geelong and Fremantle game, the round 1 game, our first game of the season, what is now our first game of the season. It's exciting. I'm really excited for football to get started. It should have been tonight, but we've got to wait a little bit longer. That's fine. It is what it is. Thank you, everyone, for having tuned in tonight. Very much appreciate all of your ongoing support of this show and the Hoops crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.